check out the little guy I picked up. Let's get it off the trailer and I'll show you better. All right, so what you see before you is a 3 kilowatt single cylinder military diesel generator. So this thing has some really cool features that I'm excited to show you. So let's get right into it. Man, just look at all that bird seed. It's everywhere. Nasty. This whole electrical wire connected is just nasty, full of stuff. So I think I'm just gonna cut it. I'm gonna leave that like that so I know which lug those wires go on. And it's actually starting to clear up out here, so I think I might go ahead and pressure wash it. It's nasty, so let's do that. All right, well, I am excited to mess with this little generator. And man, does it look different. I swear, like, this thing is a completely different machine now that we've cleaned it and we've made it, you know, so that when we touch it, we don't feel like we're gonna catch something, or I don't know. It's just a night and day difference. But my uncle and I are gonna basically try and get it started. I did notice right here, it says control speed adjustment, slow, fast, and then right there there's 2 bolts missing with paint missing. So there was definitely something there. There is an electronic shut-off solenoid that would be right there to shut it off. I don't think it's a throttle. I don't think it's got, well, I guess it does have that slow fast adjustment, so maybe there is a throttle feature that would have gone along with that. But I am not sure which way is on or which way is off, but there's only the 2 ways, and we'll just figure it out as we go. I assume probably in there's some sort of a governor. We've got a really good Fram filter, so that should be great, and our little 1-cylinder injection pump. I don't know. I guess we'll see if it cranks, and then maybe we'll pull off one of the lines in the pump, see if we get fuel pumped through it. We do have fuel. Sides over here. Probably shouldn't run it, but we're gonna. So let me grab something. Let's get a little fuel out of that. All right, see if we can get some diesel out here. Well, it's not red and it's not yellow, so I think that makes orange. So that's got to be good. So yeah, we're gonna run it. Smells like diesel, looks like diesel. I guess it identifies as diesel. So good enough.
Got floaters.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Not sure if they came from the cup or they came from the.
For a short time, it should be fine.
All right, now the battery, and let's crank it. Got the jumper pack hooked to it, and this thing is 24 volts, which is really weird to me because the battery size is so small. But I don't know. I know for sure it's 24 volts. I've looked it up. So if you don't know, these jump and carry 1224s are awesome because you can do 12 volts or 24 volts with literally just changing this from one side to the other. No buttons, no on-off switches, literally just power when you need it. And when you don't, you unplug it, and then you just go. So I really enjoy these things. I use them all the time. So let's give this 24. We'll see what happens. And the only button there is just to check voltage on the batteries once it's plugged in. And we had it. So let's see what we got. What's that say? Move master switch to preheat. Oh, we're not doing that. We're just going to try and crank it. So let's see. We got voltage selector, voltage adjust, current selector, and master switch. So off, auxiliary fuel run, and then so this crank. Nothing.
Move master switch to preheat. Second note, preheat is not required when engine is OT, or hot. Okay, I got it. Yeah, we're pretty hot. Second note, preheat when the engine is, oh, never mind. Move the master switch to start position and hold until engine fires.
Okay, so that is that's our key right there. So I don't think we're getting power. Let's go right to the starter. So we're going to go right to the starter. We need to ground it. Here's where it's grounded. And see, these bolts and the cables are corroded and there's junk on them. There's no guarantee that this will do anything, but we go right to the solenoid. Okay, and let's give it a shot. Nothing. I'm gonna move some stuff around if you just want to kind of turn that.
Let me know when you tell me ready.
All right. Something click.
Want to try it?
Yeah.
You good?
You good?
Okay. That was exciting.
Well, yeah. Got something. I don't think I've ever had a spark that big on an old machine. I think the right thing to do is not do that again, and we're gonna do it again. Let's try and give it power to this side.
No clicky.
Maybe we popped a fuse. I would hope. Great. Need a multimeter to check those. That one's good. That one is not. One beautiful thing about the military is there's a spare, and it's even labeled spare. You do not see that on stuff. That one's good.
Hey, I think that's
Is
the
there a
bad
bad one? Okay. That's a good one. Well, I'm glad it tripped that fuse because that was a
It's exciting.
shower of sparks that should have that happen. Alright, so I had the circuit breaker on. I should have that off. Shouldn't have had that there, but alright, let's try it again. Alright, I'm going to go right to the solenoid, so it should just crank here. Well, first let's see. Alright, we got it's clicking right to the starter. Try it again.
There we go. Nothing.
I think we popped the fuse again.
Ready?
Yep.
Nothing.
Yep, pop the fuse.
That one's good.
They're both good?
They're both good.
Okay. Well, let's try it again.
Okay, got our click.
Alright.
Ready?
Try and crank it. Well, it cranks and doesn't sound terrible. I can see the fan moving here. I say now we start checking fluids, see what we've got for maybe actual flow out of the injection pump, and yeah, go from there. All right, so oil is right here. It says do not overfill. Okay, well, our fill line is here, and we're a little above it.
We're into the do not range.
Tastes normal. I don't taste water or anything. A little bit over, but I can live with that. It looks clean too. Actually, that time I dipped it in without tightening the threads, and it's exact. So maybe you don't, when you check it on this one, you check it by just dipping. And when you do that, oh, now we're low. Well, we're in this range, and so we're not like way up here, and we're not empty. And that oil looks so good. Like it's still like golden. There's some black to it, but yeah, man, this thing was put away well. I'm happy about that. Well, it was put away well, and then I guess it got all kinds of nasty sitting. All right, so now this, I believe, is our fuel pump. Then this is our fuel filter. Air filter here. Let's open that up. Just broke that. So I have to either get a new one of those, or I don't really want to have to get a socket out every time, but that's okay. That doesn't look terrible. A little bit of crusties in there, but and that filter it's dirty. but it's not terrible. I was reading these are difficult filters to get, apparently.
It's certainly not fully plugged.
No, not at all. We're gonna leave that off for the moment. This is our out, right to there. That's not right.
No, this was the one you were moving. Yeah, it's this
Okay, yeah, good. All right. So that's our fuel from the tank to the pump. This would be from our pump to our filter, and our filter to the injection pump. So let's just crack that line right here. That will be the supply for the cylinder. And then we'll see if we get any fluid there. If we don't, we might have to open up the pump. Or I'm hoping that diaphragm in there. It looks like a diaphragm pump. Hoping that's still good. The other thing we got to figure out is what's shut off and what's not. All right, let's crack this line here. Yeah, there we go. That ought to be enough. This here, fuel primer lever here. I'm guessing it's this thing. I think it goes like that. It's supposed to be spring loaded, and it is, but it's all gunked up. Get some lube, and we'll put it on that thing. I don't even know if I'm doing anything, but this is moving easier, so there's that. All right, let's just try, put the battery back on, we'll crank it over, and we'll see if we get any kind of squirting coming out of this. I'm really hoping we do, which would mean the injection pump is not in a state that I think it's gonna be in. Maybe the other thing, pull this line off real quick and just see if we've got fluid. That's good.
I heard gurgling.
Yep.
There you go.
Fluid that far at least. Okay, so if I crack this one, let's see if that little hand primer pump does anything. There it goes. Now the thing is moving. Spring is bringing it back. Well, I say before I tear into this, let's just put the battery back on and crank it. And go from there. Diesel doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. I've seen a lot worse. And I've run a lot worse. Just to go all the way that way, there's a stop there. That's got to be fuel on, because then fuel off would pull it off that stop. And then there's another stop here. That might be the governor high. Maybe that's high. Not sure which. Maybe one of them's idle. Maybe that's idle, and then we got a whole nother mechanism here for the high adjustment. I really have no idea on this, but it's going to be one of the two ways for fuel shut off. That's really what I'm looking at here, because we're missing this shut off solenoid. So let's go with that way.
Go for it. All right, here we go.
For gasoline and diesel. All right, here goes nothing. Ready? Yep. Yeah, it's gonna go. Kicked off on the cables. We did. Let me see if we get anything on the main ground. Okay.
There we go. We're working.
So that tells me that it's the positive lead coming from the battery box that's really our issue. All right, I was hearing some clicking right here. This is like an auxiliary fuel pump. Huh. And maybe it's primed up already. Is that? Yep. Yep. Click it to run.
Run.
Okay, it doesn't run. I wonder if we take off one of those lines over there, if it'll just start pumping.
Okay. Yeah.
And it just pressurizes the system. And then you go back to run and it uses that diaphragm from then. Let's try that. I'm just curious here.
Well, and then also, if there wasn't fuel because it wasn't being pushed up, the primer
wouldn't be
that
not
would
pushing.
not, exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
It might have
Yeah. So this was what came out of the lines, and that's what I dipped out of the tank. Now I'm wondering if you spread that out, it gets
probably
lighter.
But still, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Do it again. One more time.
All right. Dispersion here.
Oh, great. Great. Oh, sweet.
So that means
It's
It's
getting
working.
through to the injector.
right, and the
And
injector's
coming
doing
out the
something.
line. All right, we are, oh, sweet. I think we're really close to running here. So we weren't even trying to check the loosened line here for the injector coming out of the pump, but it just squirted there. Let's tighten this up. We're gonna crack the top line. Okay. Crack that again.
Ready?
Again, yep. Alright. We got fuel to the injector. We're getting close. It's kind of weird saying injector because I've never had a single cylinder diesel engine. But I do now. Alright, let's do that one more time. Awesome. Yeah, that is sweet. It just rained down
Stuff.
garbage. Not even sure where that came. Gotta be coming from that fan in there or in
Yeah,
there.
After that.
But well, she's a runner. That is absolutely great. Let's try it again. Might as well. All right. Awesome. That is awesome. I can't believe how easily that started. It just like, it fired right up once we got fuel up there. And it was not a bear getting fuel there. I've had times where I cannot get things primed. This thing just worked.
Yeah. Can't ask for better.
No, not at all. So I think what we'll do here now is let's roll it outside and we'll start it up out there. We'll let it run for a bit, kind of warm up. Then we'll start looking at some of the electronics on it and try and figure out exactly what it'll take to hook up a three-phase machine
Make it do what it does.
and make it make power. I am absolutely excited. I seriously thought we were going to have to get into the injection pump, but All's well that ends well. All right, I rolled it outside. We're just gonna start it up real quick and let it run and warm up. So let's see how quick it starts. So I know this is completely irrelevant and not necessary at this moment, but let's see if I can get this pink off. Yeah, that's looking good. Pink is coming off, and I don't think we're getting much of the green. Much nicer. Let's fire it up real quick. We're gonna see if these outlets work. There it says receptacle 120 volt. We'll leave it there. I don't think most of this matters. We're kind of talking about it. None of it really matters for these outlets. Everything else matters for the connection out. So start. All right, well, now you saw those outlets do work. I say next up, we try and attempt the three-phase. I would like to be able to use this machine as a mobile three-phase generator, so I can take it places and try out machines that are three-phase but not under power. Worked when took out. And 9 times out of 10, when they don't have three-phase, you cannot try it. You just have to risk it. This will allow me to try it. So I'm going to work on getting some wiring set up. It'll go in right over here. I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, I'm excited. So far, so good. It's generating. It's doing everything. All right, so I've got the generator hooked up to a bandsaw. It's a three-phase bandsaw. Comes down in here. And then over here on the side panel, we've got L0, which is your ground, and then L1, L2, and L3. One cool thing about this is you take this panel back. Right here we have a voltage reconnection switch. So, all right, we've got 120 single phase right now, and we'll switch it down to 208/120 three phase. And go ahead and close this. And we should see this up in the 208, 230 range. All right, we're gonna start it back up and we'll see what happens. So. Well, it works. Generates three-phase power enough to keep this running.
Yeah, I know you always want to drop your, make sure your load is dropped.
I believe that. And honestly, when we first started, if that was up,
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a big spark.
Could be.
It was generated immediately.
Trying to draw.
All right, well, check it out. That thing powered up the bandsaw beautifully. The only issue, and maybe all you electricians can explain this to me, this thing is putting out, it says, basically it's a 208 three-phase. So the motor and everything in this bandsaw connection is 240 volts three-phase. So when I tried to start it, normally when I run it from the three-phase converter here in the shop, all I do is push this start drive button and it starts up. But to get it to actually run, I pushed it and I held it, and then after, I'd say 2-3 seconds, it started up. So does that mean that, am I feeding it voltage longer, letting it warm up and get fully started, and then it can run on the 208? I know that 208 on a 240 motor is not good, especially long term and especially under load. But let me know what's happening there if you know exactly. I'm curious. Either way, though, we know we're outputting three-phase power. I mean, that thing would not have run otherwise. So totally pumped for that. I think next up what we do is pull that filter, we drop the oil, we change on that. I'm going to have to get an air filter and a fuel filter online, and maybe I'll source an actual shut-off solenoid if they're not too expensive, and then whatever this control speed adjustment dial would have been. I'd like to find a circuit breaker cover, this little rubber thing here that is ripped, because I think that would seal up the electrical panel a little bit better if this thing did sit outside. I don't know if this sat outside. I'm betting it sat in a barn, which is why it was so nasty. But regardless of its issues, I have very little to ask of it at this point. It is doing everything that it should without issue, including running on the crappiest, well, I don't know if it's crappiest, with the crappy fuel that's in it. Now, another thing I think I'd like to tidy up, all of these wires are kind of starting to fray, this outer fabric coating, and I don't think a mouse has chewed on them, and I have not found a single break in any of them, but I have some just plastic mesh, and I'm not sure if that's going to be a good idea or not. Now that it's warm, the radiator is literally right there, so...
Muffler.
Or the muffler, I'm sorry, yeah, good point. So the muffler is right there, and obviously, with it being as hot as that is, maybe that's why they went with this coated stuff. It would make sense to me. So, I'm not sure if I should do that, or maybe I can find a stainless steel braided mesh. That would probably handle the load or the heat better. And then these have got to be to, you know, some auxiliary sensor. Not sure what this sensor here is. Is that an emergency shut-off sensor of sorts? It's right next to the injector on the head there. This This diesel engine is made by Onan, and it was made in January of 1988. Yeah, this thing is cool. And right here, it's got the option to, it's labeled slave receptacle. My guess would be this is like a jumper to maybe off of a 24 volt vehicle that had a plug. You could just plug it right in, or a jumper pack or another generator to jumpstart this unit, because the two leads that go off this one here is a 12, or I guess that'd be a 24 volt lead, and the other one goes right down here to the ground that goes to the other ground on the unit. I was able to cut back the electrical wire here and expose good enough wiring that I could use it here, put the jumper pack on this rather than on the starter itself. So need to replace that, and then I don't know if I'm going to try and spend the money for the batteries for these. It's a lot. They're like $400 or $500. I mean, it seemed to run fine with the jumper pack, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. Looks like there's some sort of a like foam mesh in there. I think a piece of that came out when we were pressure washing it, but I don't know. It's not in ridiculous condition. Oh, here, on that tank, there are numbers. It says date 9/24 of 1987, serial number 572. Interesting. They scribed that in. They ground that in with a something, a hot knife or something. Kind of interesting to see them do that in a plastic tank. And then another thing I notice here is whatever seal for this diesel is leaking right there. So
what is that part?
That's just a retainer. I think if you just pull it out, the whole thing will come out, get in a spring, just like that.
Oh, so it's just to
hold the cap.
just to keep the cap from falling out.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Cool.
But maybe, well, there's even a part number on that rubber seal for this. I have half of mine to just twist the rubber seal to the bottom and see if it seals better down there. I care less about if it seals up here, because down here's where it's all going to run. So
yeah, but if you don't fill it up that high, it should.
That's true. And when I did have it running, I looked in here and I could see fuel returning right down through this hose. It was just squirting straight down. So that's another thought. Maybe there should have been a tube that goes down so it's not splashing in that area. It kind of looks like there's threads there, just like the pickup tube. But, yeah. And then over here, it has an auxiliary fuel hookup. So right here, you can take that cap off and run an auxiliary line right there,
which is straight into the fuel.
Into that. And I'm wondering, is this a heating unit? Like, is this some sort of a heating element? It looks like it.
Or is it a fuse?
I don't know. I've never seen a fuse like that though. And then right here, well, this is how you drain the oil. So you turn this little ball valve there, and all the oil should drain out. So we're going to do that next. I'm going to get the filter off because I got to upgrade on that Fram over there. We're going to go with something better. I added a little extender pipe to this drain so it won't just make a mess. So let's drain the oil out of this thing. Maybe. There we go. Smells right. It's hot. So we're gonna let that drain, and then we're gonna go, let's get the filter off. It's actually pretty dang good. I mean, for a Fram. All right, I went down to the cave and I found some filters. We've got, this one's probably the closest in size, and it threads look about right. I also have this one and this one. I don't know who makes ProTech filters. It says they're made in the USA, but kind of partial to Wix filters, and these two Napas are Wix. This one's not quite as tall, but I think it'll work fine. So my thought is, we'll see if this one fits and we'll give it a shot. Let me see if the thread's on here.
Different size thread?
I think it might be. I definitely think it might be a different size thread. I'm not sure. Let's try this one. Oh yeah, that's it.
It goes right on.
Yep. This one is marked, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong here. Like, that one's got a 22 marked right there, and this filter has a 13/16. Is that the thread pitch, or is that the diameter of that that hole? So is this metric? Is this standard? I don't know. Let me know what you know about that in the comments. I'm curious. But we'll just go ahead and use this ProTech, even though it's not a Wix. Maybe it is a Wix. I don't know. I don't know ProTech, but it didn't cost me anything, and so that's what we're gonna run. All right, I'll get that dated, and we're gonna get some oil in it. All right, we got 2,973.5 hours, so we're just gonna call that 2,794. So 2, 9, 7, 4 hours. And then, what is the date? June 10th, 2023. We're gonna put some heavy duty diesel oil in this old dog. I don't know how much. My uncle's looking it up right now. All right, we're gonna start this up, get the oil kind of flowing, fill the filter up, and then we will check it again in a short minute. That is long enough to check the oil. All right, we are low by like, I'd say 3/4 of a quart based on my stick measurements.
Still low.
All right, we'll fill that back up. All right, well, we got this little military generator that looks like it had been definitely ridden hard and put away wet, and then everything in that barn decided to take a pee on it. I mean, it was nasty. So yeah, I definitely think we found a diamond in the rough. It's kind of one of those little machines that maybe a lot of people don't have a use for, but me, having the ability to have mobile 3-phase power is something that I truly think that I will find useful, especially when we're recovering machines without power, not under power. And until now, it's been very hard or impossible to test those machines. And so now I take this, have some pre-made cords and drops, and literally hook up to a machine and try it. And honestly, it can run single phase too. So, you know, if I needed to take this out into a field and run some sort of a welder or whatever, or other, you know, a pump somewhere, I don't know. There's a million uses for mobile generators. As far as what do we do next with it, I think we figure out what kind of a shut-off solenoid it needs. The battery cables, I would like to replace those, clean all that. I definitely think that there's some sort of an air fuel line leak where it's letting air in enough to basically lose its prime, because that last time, just after we did the oil, it didn't start right up like it had, which is as simple as it's air is getting in the lines and the fuel is not where it should be right off at startup. Once it gets there, it fired right up. There's also this little, I think it's a click and clack type electric fuel pump. It's an auxiliary fuel pump on the dash. It has an actual setting where you can turn it to that. That's probably to prime it all up. I don't know. I'll have to look in the manual for that. And I think it's got a heating element that actually might heat the diesel to avoid it gelling in winter. What else does this thing need? I'd like to get an air filter for it. I'd like to get a fuel filter for it. Clean all the wiring. So yeah, on the dash here, I'd like to find maybe one of these rubber covers for the circuit breaker, possibly the throttle speed control adjustment, whatever mechanism it is there. I assume it's a dial based on the two arrows. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of additional things we could do here, trying to get it back to perfect. But at this point, it's usable. I could take it out in the field right now, generate the power I need to try a machine, use it for whatever we decide we need it for. And all in all, I don't have a lot of money in it. I paid $150 for this, and it kind of blew my mind that he was willing to take that. He was asking, I think, $250. I looked at it. It was rough. I said, hey, I'll give you $150. He said, yes, when can you get it? I get there, and he did tell me he had a bunch of other people that wanted it, and I hear that a lot. And I don't know if it's a tactic, somebody trying to get more money or not, but yeah. Probably should clean the diesel, put some new diesel in it, and then be kind of absolutely ready for when we need to use it. If you enjoyed this video, I really, truly appreciate that you've watched here at Salvage Workshop. And I have another generator that we're going to be getting going very soon. So if you're interested in that, definitely hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that notifications. It will be coming very soon. It's actually this guy's big brother. Quite a bit bigger, actually. As always, I truly appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me here at Salvage Workshop. You guys have a great one.